Well, Marathon is the new game that Bungie's been working on. If you're familiar with the codename Matter, then this is that game. Bungie are resurrecting one of their old IPs, Marathon, but it's not a sequel or a prequel, it's simply set in the same universe. Well, today I'm going to check out the info in an interview with Scott Taylor and the game director, Christopher Barrett, and we can find out more about the new game coming from the creators of Halo and Destiny 2. Well, the interviewer says, today you announced Marathon, the first entirely new project announcement from Bungie in more than a decade. You know, how hard has it been to keep this one under wraps for so long? Well, so hard, it's been wild talking about this game in front of the world. I mean, it's been under wraps for so long, but as a team, we've been completely immersed in developing this world behind closed doors at Bungie, even though there is still a long way to go before release. It's fantastic to be able to open up even just a little and share what we've all been working on. The name Marathon obviously conjures up visions of the original game from 1994, but this is something new. Well, finding the right balance is one of the most fun parts of development. We've had a tremendous amount of respect for the other Marathon games from the very start. We wanted to honour that, especially the mythology, the story, the themes of the world. At the same time, our vision for the game is something new. It's not a direct sequel to the originals, but something that certainly belongs in the same universe and that feels like a Bungie game. Finding those opportunities to nod to the universe lore, whilst also getting to build something different and new, has been one of the best parts of developing this game so far. It's our aim to create something incredible, both for players who are completely new to Marathon, and also for those who've been waiting for years for more stories in the Marathon universe. You don't need to know anything about Marathon to understand or play the game, but if you do, we've made the experience with references and deep cuts that you will recognise. Well, you mentioned that Marathon will feel like a Bungie game. What does that exactly mean for you? Well, there are many elements as to what makes a Bungie game. To me, it runs the gamut of incredible feel of the weapons to the beautiful and evocative world building, rich in lore, the immersion, and opportunities for an incredible adventure. With Marathon, one of the areas that is a big focus for us is our player-based storytelling. The original Marathon games revealed story moments through terminals, all in text. But now, we've got so many more ways to immerse the players in the world, both in and out of the game, and we're going to be carrying out that through the design of the game. Our design philosophy here is to have players affect the story of the world through their choices and their actions. This approach also lets us shape the overall narrative direction of the game experience, while giving players a direct sense of agency and power. Marathon is designed from the start as a PvP-focused game, and it won't have a single-player campaign. Instead, with the PvP experience as our foundation, we're creating opportunities for player-driven stories to unfold, stories that are integrated with the overarching game narrative, and we're building a world full of persistent evolving zones, where players create their own journey with every run that they take. That might mean an unforgettable firefight against another crew vying for the same loot, or the last second extraction while beset on all sides. Now, beyond just the story of your last run, however, we want to give players the chance to affect these persistent zones in the larger world as a result. For example, imagine a crew discovering a previously undiscovered artifact that, when activated, opens a new area of the map for all players to explore. In essence, we're creating a game where the actions of the players can have ramifications in the world and players with each unfolding season. So, a new kind of storytelling for Bungie. What else will feel new for the players? Well, it's a PvP first game, something that we've never done before. That means a focus on all things that people think about when they want a great competitive experience. Things like creating moments of tension and building weapons that look, feel and sound amazing. We also want to make sure that players have tons of strategic choices, both in terms of gear available and their loadouts, but also on the ground in terms of tactical options, entrance, exfil points and so on. Beyond those fundamentals, we're focused on the approachability and competitive integrity, which are huge points of emphasis for us. So we're prioritising security and focusing on vigorous anti-cheat measures, as well as dedicated servers, global data centers, active community conversations and feedback, and more. Ultimately, we want to ensure that the competitive experience in Marathon is fair and fun for every player. Extraction shooter brings to mind players dying, losing their stuff, tedious gear management, a huge time investment to get back in what was lost, and so on. How is the team approaching these kinds of issues with Marathon? This is something we think about on a regular basis. We want the game to have a sense of danger and tension. We want it to be thrilling and always to have the sense that this run is going to be unforgettable. At the same time, it's true, the traditional extraction genre tropes can be frustrating, especially for new players. One of the ways we're addressing this is by making one of the core fantasies of survival and extraction fun, clear, and easy to understand. We want people to quickly understand the fundamentals like healing or oxygen or how to organise their gear. After all, if they get all these things intuitively, then there's much more room for tactical thinking and creativity. It's our job to create the fun and the fantasy, not the busy work and the tedium. The second thing is, and I can't talk about this too much right now, and that is there's so many ways to win in Marathon, and only some of them require getting out alive. In essence, we think there's an opportunity for players to still have fun, to be fulfilled and rewarded, even if they don't make it to an exfil. So do you only fight other players in Marathon? Well, the heart of Marathon's gameplay experience is PvP, but that isn't the entire story. We're building a rich, immersive world that will have ample opportunities for exploration and conflict, both against other players and AI-controlled enemies. Combine that with the different objectives and motivations that players will have for each run, as well as the narrative doors that can be unlocked, as well as players discovering things and accomplishing tasks, and it creates this really nice palette of gameplay possibilities that will only continue to grow and evolve. Well, you said Marathon is currently in development. What does that mean, and do you have a timeline for when fans will hear more about the game? Well, there's still a lot of more work to do before launch, or even before we're ready to talk about the game in a little bit more detail. The team is hard at work, and we've got a great base to start from, but there's still so much more to do, including continuing to grow our team. That is one of the most challenging parts of game development, hiring, when everything is still under wraps. Now that we're announced, I'm excited because we can be much more candid about the positions that we're looking for and talk more openly to candidates about the work that's going on and our vision for the game. If you're interested, you can check out the Bungie careers page to see our open positions, which we are constantly updating with roles as needed. Come and work with us. We're working on something that we feel is really special. I know that fans are interested in learning more about Marathon. Believe me, we can't wait to show you more. And while we can't really give you a timeline on when that information will be coming, what I can say is this. The next time you hear about us from Marathon, we're going to be able to show you the gameplay, and we are going to be much closer to launch. Well, we can't wait for more. Until then, do you have a story to share from your best Marathon run so far? Well, so many come to mind. It's funny because for me, when I think about my best runs, I don't necessarily jump to a run where I got my biggest artifact or dominated with kills. I think about how excited I am was to share something insane and unexpected that happened with my friends on the team. For example, I always like to go into the world with a plan, but then that to be open and the plan to be challenged by what I see happening around me. One time I was on my way to collect some data from this greenhouse to complete the contract for a Traxxas. I got completely lit up by another crew and some ticks that were poisoning me. I escaped somehow, but I was in rough shape. I changed my objective just to get out alive. And as I tried to sneak my way to the exfil, I came across a container with a weapon I've been looking for with some of the best mods in the game. So now I was doubly focused on getting out alive. And as I made it to the exfil, I saw a crew on top of the building looking for runners. I was able to hold my exfil as they came after me and get out. It was so tense coming out of that, I couldn't wait to share what has happened. And if you want to find out more about Marathon, you can check out www.marathonthegame.com. Well, I don't know about you, really exciting stuff there from Marathon, and this is a new IP from Bungie, a new PvP-focused game, and I really can't wait to get my hands on it. And yes, I will be covering it on This Week in Video Games. Well, that is it for now for Marathon. Really exciting stuff. Let me know down in the comments what you think about Marathon, or you can hit me up on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. Would really love to hear what you think about the new game from Bungie.